You like some Skittles? No? Okay. Anyway. Yuta Okkotsu, Gojo Satoru, the Fujiwara clan, the Sugawara clan. What have they all got in common? Come with me. Come with me. We're going down a rabbit hole. Come with me. Come.
Sometimes you gotta close the door to open a window.
I'm about to take you down easily one of my biggest crackpot theories I think I've ever put together. I mean, it's got families, souls, love affairs, IRL mythology. I even put together a whole ass mind map for this theory, so please help me. Anyways, the center of this theory is Yuta Okkotsu and 3 major points of interest, and they are as follows. Number 1, Yuta was able to detain Rika's soul in exchange for power. Number 2, Yuta had an idea on how to rescue Megami from Sukuna. And number 3, Yuta is possibly a descendant of 2 major families, the Fujiwara and the Sugawara. Now, Yuta's lineage seems like the best place to start here, so let's start there, because again, this is very crackpotty, and it seems to be a little bit all over the place right here, and I'm going to need your help in the comments to try and help me put the dots together here, but I feel like I've done a somewhat decent job of it already. But anyway, in JJK 0, it's confirmed by Gojo that Yuta is a distant cousin of his and a descendant of Sugawara Michizane, which is, by the way, a real person. You can read upon them. Also worth noting that Yuta is stated to be only second to Gojo in unusual abilities, which, again, very crazy. Now, Sugawara Michizane is one of the 3 big vengeful curse spirits within Jujutsu Kaisen's world, and this same family eventually sort of gave birth to Gojo Satoru. Very distant down the line. As we all know, Gojo is wielding the 6 eyes and the limitless curse technique, which is an unusual ability. Easily one of the strongest curse techniques that we've seen within this series so far, and however, the 6 eyes is more than just powerful. It's got some, it's definitely got its fair share of unusual abilities, as I said. Here's some examples. In Shibuya, Gojo was able to call out to the soul of one Suguru Geto, who responded by trying to choke Kenjaku. Kinda kinky. Anyway, in this fight against Sukuna, Gojo was not only able to see the souls of both Megami and Sukuna by looking at him, Gojo was also able to deduce that Sukuna was using the soul to carry the burden of adaptation from himself to Megami, and this is a note that we'll touch on a little bit later here. On the other side of this equation here, we have Gojo, who is able to see souls and even call out to them, and sure, you could argue that Gege said the Geto thing was kind of just like a dragonfly losing its head, but as Kenjaku said literally after this, the soul is the body and the body is the soul, so I'm not entirely convinced Gege was being forthright and truthful with that statement, because quite frankly, I don't trust that cat anymore. Anything he says, I'm taking with a pinch of salt. I think he's one lying motherfucker, personally. Anyway, however, what about the other side of this equation here? What about the Fujiwara side of this equation? In the most recent chapter, Gojo mentioned that Yuta and Udo may have been right in Yuta's lineage. Maybe Yuta is from both of these families here, and in the same breath, Gojo mentions how both families were on really bad terms, and then he further goes on to say how Yuta might have been blessed even more than Gojo himself, and he then goes on to tease Yuta about his sloppy cursed energy control, which is something Gojo is incredibly proficient at due to his 6 eyes. But back to the Fujiwara side of things here, Udo mentioned how the Fujiwara were always scared of what she could become. She worked under the Sun, Moon, and Star Squad, an elite group of assassins, and this group were often denied names and basically treated as property in a way here. Kind of inference that I'm getting here is that they kind of treated her like a property. She wasn't allowed to do her own thing. She was just an assassin. But Yuta also kind of somewhat followed this path. Not exactly, but in his own little way. You see, Yuta was able to detain the soul of Rika and stop her from fully passing on. In exchange for this, she stuck around and granted him insane power. However, there's a very big difference here, because the Fujiwara seem to keep people around as like kind of property with seemingly without remorse or any emotions. If we go off what Udo was talking about here, she was made up to be free. She was incredibly happy to have been freed from their rule, from their ownership, I suppose. But Yuta, on the other hand, Yuta is someone who detained a soul due to his own love, and love is a really big thematic throughout the series with Yuta here, and this is where we're going to get into the really big crackpot theories here. Now bear with me, because I know this is crackpotty, but what if Gojo had such a hard time finding out Yuta's lineage was because he was a descendant of both clans? He was the product of a secret love child born from a Romeo and Juliet style romance where one member from the Fujiwara and one member from the Sugawara kind of met in the middle and the bloodline started to fuse, and that's what caused the odds there. This would also explain why he's shown traits from both sides of the family. He's blessed with unusual abilities the exact same way as Gojo, but also at the same time Udo closely resembled him to the Fujiwara clan, and Gojo even said to Yuta, maybe it's both, you might have been both, you might have been born more blessed than me. And between both Gojo and Yuta, we have Gojo who's able to see souls and even call out to them, and then we also on the flip side have Yuta who is able to detain souls through the power of love. And if you wanted to take this theory even further here, Yuta as it stands right now is essentially detaining the soul of Gojo, because if the soul is the body and the body is the soul, Yuta is not only detaining the body, but he's also using the soul in the exact same way he did with Rika for more power. And it's this fusion of the bloodlines that I believe will create one of the most powerful versions of Gojo slash Yuta that we've seen so far here. Consider them two pieces to the puzzle, yin and yang if you like. You see, with Yuta right now using Gojo's body, he'll have access to all of Gojo's memories. We could get even more lore about him possibly seeing the final moments of Gojo here. And on top of all of this, Gojo teased Yuta about him not being able to control his cursed energy or calling it sloppy, but now Yuta wielding the Six Eyes, he can control his cursed energy infinitely better than what he used to be able to do. And to add into all of this, there is the possibility that Yuta is still able to use his own cursed techniques here, because we don't really know what happened to Rika once this transfer was complete. Even if Rika is gone completely, Yuta still may be able to use other techniques, as the Six Eyes allows him to process an incredible amount of information. However, there is drawbacks to this bloodline fusion here. There is this power here has not been gained without its drawbacks. However, for example, we don't know what happens after the 5 minutes. Yuta could simply pass on. He may end up staying alive and be forced to live on Gojo's body forever and forego his whole body. He's literally giving up a lot to do this right now. And currently as it stands, we've got two people in Sukuna and Yuta who have both taken over people's bodies in order to gain power to complete their goals, both wielding their power and their knowledge of souls in order to gain the upper hand. And even when Yuta way back when said that he had an idea on how to rescue Megami's soul here, we have no idea what he was talking about. Both him and Yuji have had ideas on how to do so, and so far Yuji's soul punches have certainly helped in some way, shape or form in this fight, but we never really got to see what Yuta's plan was. He had an idea on how to rescue Megami, but no idea. But now I believe while Yuta is in Gojo's body, we will finally get to see that plan come into fruition. Think of it like in Naruto. Sure, you could be born with the Sharingan and that was great and all, but you needed to take someone else's Sharingan to get the Mangekyo Sharingan, and you know, that was kind of what was going on throughout that entire series. People just stealing each other's eyes, and I think it's kind of something similar here. I think Yuta now finally taking over Gojo's body might have just unlocked something incredibly powerful, and in which case, if it is the case that he does stay in that body permanently, we are more than likely going to see the merger. We're going to see the accumulation of this ultimate form of Yuta and Gojo's body fighting against the merger. And I also have to draw, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but I have to draw the parallels here, because there's this lovely parallel of Yuta becoming the next Gojo and then Yuji becoming the next Sukuna. These two are literally following two separate paths here, one becoming Gojo and the other becoming Sukuna, which I think is truly phenomenal. If you haven't already, go check out the last video there where I talked about lots of the parallels here, especially with Yuta in general. But anyway, that is everything from me. This truly, genuinely might have been the most in-depth crackpot theory I think I've ever put together. Like, I've literally got a mind map that is still currently evolving, and the more information that I find, the more I'll put more videos out together. But I can't lie, the theories of souls within this series, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And yeah, anyway, as always, if you like this video and you want to support my crackpot bullshit, anyway, consider liking and subscribing. We did just cross 30k and we are sailing on up to 31, which is kind of fucking wild already. I am working on the 30k question and answer video, but yeah, if you've not already, go tell someone you fucking love them, go drink some fucking water, and as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much fucking love, big fucking kisses, peace.